Welcome again to Dave Kennon's Retirement Revolution, where today I am going to give you some ideas and information that could literally change the way that you view money for the rest of your life. I guess that's a pretty big promise. And I know I can do it. I've done it before and I'm going to do it again. We're going to change some minds out there today. Again, you're listening to Dave Kennon's Retirement Revolution. I am your host, Dave Kennon. We are broadcasting live from the Kane Plaza, downtown Sarasota, at my office. Sarasota is gorgeous this time of year. It's February. It's beautiful. The sun is shining. The temperature is perfect. It's fantastic. So welcome to the revolution. So today, if you've never listened to Dave Kennon's Retirement Revolution show before, this is a great place to start. Because today I'm just going to outline, what is a retirement revolution? Why am I doing this? Right? I mean, I put a lot of time and effort into this. The book is coming out, we're working on that right now. It should be done in about 3 months. I have articles that come out every week. Obviously, with this radio show happens every week. I do videos on YouTube weekly. My entire life is centered around the retirement revolution. And you got to start maybe you might be asking yourself, so Dave, why are you so crazy about this? Why is it that when you go home, and even though you're not technically at work anymore, you're still researching and looking stuff up and thinking about how to get the word out to retirees that you're not spending enough money? That's it. You're not spending enough money. People many people in this country in their 60s and 70s need to be spending more money. That is my thesis. What I'm going to start talking to you about today, my central thesis, is people in their 60s and 70s need to be spending more money than they are now. Okay? People are living scared and dying rich. That at one point was the name of the book. The editor that I'm working with says that you shouldn't talk to people about dying because that gives them icky feelings. I can understand that. So we're probably not going to call the book Living Scared and Dying Rich. But the reason why I called it that is that's actually what's happening, right? Kind of morbid to think about, I guess, when you put it that way. But people during their lives are extremely nervous, right? You retire and what's that one thing that 99% of retirees worry about? What is that thing that all these retirees are worrying about? Think about it. You're nearing retirement or already retired. What is the one thing that when it comes to your money that almost all retirees fear? It's not that hard of a question, right? Everyone worries about running out of money. Everybody worries about running out of money. So why I do these radio shows and why I teach the classes that I teach, that's another thing I do. Every month we have Retirement Revolution classes here at the office. And the reason why I do all these things is, man, there's a lot of people hurting out there. They're suffering for no reason, and we're going to stop it. And not only are we going to stop the suffering, but I have amazing news. I have great news. Things are actually going to get a lot better. Your retirement is going to start feeling a lot bigger than it has in the past, and that's because many people listening to this should be spending more of their money. My central thesis is that people in their 60s and 70s need to be spending more money because right now it's not happening. And it's not just my opinion. Granted, for 17 years, I've been sitting down with people that are nearing retirement or already retired. And granted, for 17 years, people have been saying the same thing to me. Dave, I'm so worried I'm going to run out of money. I don't want to spend any of this money unless I absolutely have to. You never know what might happen. What if this happens? What if that happens? Look, I understand. I understand. I empathize. I understand why you think that way, why you feel this way. But especially why I'm teaching this class. By the way, as I do the show today, if what I say to you resonates, if what I'm saying to you today really makes you start to think, man, Dave, that is quite an idea. That's something I want to learn more about. You definitely have some valid points there. I would really encourage you to take my class, right? I'd really encourage you to take my Retirement Revolution class, because in that class, I expand on everything I'm talking about today, so that you can really walk out of there a revolutionary. By the time you're out of that, you go through that class, it's about 90 minutes. And by the time it's over, you're going to walk out of there going, wow, I really am going to start looking at things differently. You're going to start finding yourself living your life in a different way, because you're going to start viewing your financial your financial situation in a more realistic light. I guess that would be the most accurate way of putting it. It's going to allow you to see your financial situation in a more realistic light. So let's keep going here. Let's jump in. So we're talking today about the retirement revolution, and I'm going to prove my thesis that many people in their 60s and 70s need to start spending more money. There's kind of a second part to my thesis, right? The first part is a lot of people need to spend more money once they retire. By the way, I always give this disclosure. Half of the people in this country have not prepared adequately for retirement. I am not talking to them. I am talking to you. I am talking to the half that has prepared for retirement. And what do I mean by that? It's not that complicated. You save some money. You don't have too much debt. Your budget is reasonable, right? You're not spending money out of control, right? You don't need to have millions of dollars. There really is not a magic number you need to reach. I'm just saying, yes, there are many people out there that are totally unprepared for retirement, that have nothing but Social Security coming in. By the way, that's only about 12% of America. That's from Newsweek that came out a couple weeks ago. People think that people have this impression that there's this incredible retirement crisis going on in the country. But when you look at the data, it's not actually true. But anyway, I'm talking to you, the 50% of people out there that have prepared, that have saved their money, that, maybe you have $500,000, maybe you have $200,000, maybe you have $2 million. It doesn't really matter. The concept is the same. The concept is you need to start spending more money and you need to stop saving. Your total net worth needs to stop growing. We don't really want it going down either. It just needs to stop growing, right? You don't need to defer your savings anymore. You are living at a point in your life that you saved all of this money specifically for. I just want to encourage you that stop focusing on trying to keep that savings growing, right? Don't end up like my grandfather, dear Papa, who died at 89 with $900,000 in his bank account. And this guy was a school teacher. He never made more than $25,000 in his life. How did he save all that money? He just saved and saved and saved and saved and saved. And in hindsight, my mom was like, what in the heck was he waiting for? He could have done so much more with Mom, all these things they could have done. But no, it's a Depression era kind of thing, right? I mean, it is. The main reason why a retirement revolution even needs to happen in this country is very simply that your parents were alive during the Great Depression. And if you were alive during the Great Depression, you are going to be spooked about money for the rest of your life. Of course, anyone would be. You would be. I would be. Right? And you grew up in a house with parents that survived the Great Depression. How could that not mess with you a little bit? How could their way of viewing money not infect your brain a little bit? It's impossible. Of course it's going to infect your brain a little bit. There's no way that it couldn't. So Depression era thinking is a big reason why the retirement revolution needs to happen in the first place, right? That's a big reason. Another reason why the retirement revolution has to happen is that a lot of these old-fashioned pension plans, these good old-fashioned pension plans where you'd retire and start getting a monthly check from your employer, those have kind of gone by the wayside. People don't have those as much anymore. And now they're having to rely on investments. And the stock market, holy moly, the stock market. As of recording this radio show, by the way, last week the stock market had a bad week. It was down about 10% last week. In fact, from a point total, right? If you look at the number of points the Dow Jones lost, one day it had the biggest one-day point loss ever. And then later on, it had the second biggest point loss ever. I mean, that's not a good week. It's also kind of telling, though, because it's the biggest point loss, but it only lost 10%. There have been back in 1987, there was a big crash, and it went down over 40% in a day, but it was a lower point drop. That kind of points to the fact that, man, the stock market must be worth a lot more now than it was 30 or 40 years ago, right? I mean, it's at 24,000. I mean, in 2008, it was at 6,000. In the 80s, it was in the thousands. It's at 24,000. And a lot of people are getting real upset over the fact that they've lost this money and the market went down 10%. And it's just interesting to see how human beings perceive the stock market and investments. It's very natural. It's not your fault. It's just, okay, so if you lost 10% in your 401k in the past week, you do understand that you made 10% in the past 3 months. In a sense, the 10% that you lost is the very same 10% that you made over the past 3 months. Or another way of putting it is, you're back to where you were 3 months ago. That's not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal. But it's human nature. Whenever people see negatives and they see all these people on TV talking about how the market is having this horrible time, and it's just human nature. I don't understand exactly why it works that way, but it does. So continuing on, the stock market, it's in my business, things get a little tricky when the market starts going up and down really violently like that, very quickly like that. So it was a difficult week for me. It was very challenging, but that's what my job is, right? I mean, as a fiduciary, as a financial advisor, it is very important that I am there. I mean, come on. It's very important that I am there, right? If that is my job, because human beings, and this goes back to the retirement revolution, the pension plans are gone, and now you're in a situation where you're watching the stinking stock market go up and down and up and down, and it's so stressful, and you don't really understand it, and you have no real perception of what it's done in the past, and you don't know what to expect in the future. And it's just like every day is this very, it's unpleasant, right? If the market goes up, you say, okay, well, that's good. At least it's going up. I should be okay. But if the market goes down, you go, oh, no. Oh no, what are we going to do now? This is terrible. The market went down. We're not going to be able to take that vacation we wanted. Now we're not going to be able to do all the things that we thought we'd be able to do. We're going to end. People get crazy. It's not their fault. This is how we're built. That's how human nature is. You're going to focus on the dangers, and you're going to kind of gloss over the good stuff that happens. But you have to realize that the stock market temporarily goes down and it permanently goes up. This week when the markets were volatile and when they were going down, I sent out an email to all of my clients, and it very simply stated that while we weren't expecting this, nobody knows when the stock market is going to get volatile like this, we are prepared for it. And how are we prepared for it? By utilizing a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. That's all we're doing. We're doing something that's worked for a long, long, long time. You have to realize that when you retire, your money needs to start working for you, right? When you retire, your money has to start working for you. You can't just put it in under the mattress. You can't put it in a savings account and get 0.1%. That is a very dangerous way to live your retirement, in the sense of that is how you run out of money when you retire. The way you don't run out of money when you retire is to get your money working for you. And since CDs are no longer paying 15% like they did in 1981, right? You got to play the game. And this is what I say to people. Look, if I could find a financial product that paid you 15%, we would not be talking about the stock and bond markets. We would not be talking about investing. It would be totally unnecessary. We would not need to do it. But it's the world we live in today. And I have great news. Stocks and bonds are pretty awesome, and they're also pretty consistent, and they're also relatively predictable in the sense that over time, they're going to go up. They might temporarily go down, but they permanently go up. Over the past 100 years, the stock market has had an average return of about 10%. Think about that. Over the past 100 years, the stock market has had an average return of about 10%. It just has. Between now and the end of your life, if the stock market does not return an average of around 10%, it will be the first time in modern economic history where it hasn't. So instead of being that guy on the golf course that every hole, I've experienced this personally. The guys that have their phones with them on the golf course and on the green of every hole, they're there looking at their portfolio. They are obsessed. It's a sickness. You do not need to look at your portfolio every hole on the golf course. I would suggest you look at your portfolio once or twice a year. Other than that, you're wasting your time. It doesn't matter what it does short term. It doesn't matter because over the long term, it always works out. It's never not worked out. But Dave, I'm retiring. I don't have time for it to come back up. You're acting like long term, everything's going to be fine. I don't know how long term my long term is. I hear you. But when I say long term, I'm not talking like 20, 30, 40 years. Even if you look at over 10 or 15 year periods, the stock market, a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds, if they don't return at least an average of 5% per year, this is not my opinion. It's based on data. I get all of this from New York University. It's the first time in modern economic history where it hasn't done that. So it's great news. A big part of the retirement revolution, and again, we go over a lot in the class, we talk a lot about more reasons why people are struggling with this, more reasons why you should be spending more money in your 60s and 70s. We answer a lot of what ifs, right? What about inflation? What if I need to go to a nursing home? What if I have a big medical expense? What if I have a heart attack and I get a $500,000 bill from the hospital? All of these subjects are covered in the class. You can also get information about these things, again, from the website. You can go to the website, by the way, at stoplivingscared.com, stoplivingscared.com. It's a great website. It really is an amazing website. I would like to give a shout out to Big C Design. They are awesome. They designed the website, and it is beautiful. It is a work of art. I know that sounds like a lot when it comes to a website. Check it out, and you're going to say the same thing. This is a gorgeous website, and you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn what you need to learn to get the most life out of your money. So today, we kind of introduced the retirement revolution, gave you some ideas of why it's happening, gave you some ideas of some of the challenges that people are facing. I hope it gave you the perspective. I hope it planted a seed. I guess at the end of the day, today I was trying to plant a seed. That's all I was trying to do. There is nothing I can say in 18 minutes of a show that is going to radically change the way you live the rest of your life. But I just have a request. Give this some more time and thought. Look into what I'm saying more seriously. Do not just dismiss this and say, Dave, that's an interesting idea. I think you're really, that's really cool that you're helping people, enjoy their retirements more. This is not an interesting idea. I do not want you to walk away from this just with this being another interesting idea. This is a life-changing, transformative experience. If you get a sense of how to piece together all the parts of your financial puzzle, if you figure out how to find that perfect balance between spending too much and spending too little, it is going to dramatically improve your retirement lifestyle. Okay? I do not have any sort of magic algorithm. I do not have any secret investing gimmick. This is just tried and true, brass tacks, traditional planning that allows you to get the most life from your money. So I hope you learned some things today. Again, I would invite you to join me at one of our Retirement Revolution classes. Visit the website at Stop Living Scared. Sign up for the newsletter. Subscribe, obviously, to this radio show. Again, I hope everyone learned something this week, and be blessed.